This week we will sail from Reef to Kristiansand, from where we will prepare to sail back south. The wind is calm and we can therefore follow the route at our leisure. This includes plenty of time for the inner man and walks with Reef. Sun and rain alternate this week, but that should not spoil the fun. The harbors are overcrowded now that the Norwegians and Swedes are still on holiday, so we rely on anchorages nearby.
Taking my time as the sun it shines on me and everyone that has come to find. This world is cruel, but there's nothing new. Living in the moment is the only truth. But let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. But let's go slow. Salted towns are where I'd rather be. They give me love and they set me free. The ocean's tides can't live without the moon. And darling, the same goes for me and you. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. Now. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth.
We find such a gem near Grimstad, for instance, where we anchor in a nice bay that is spacious enough, while the city is just around the corner after a picturesque canal about 10 minutes by boat. We thus enjoy the tranquility of the anchorage combined with the busy city around the corner. We sail alternately between the skerries or just on the open sea off the coast. This is by no means a punishment with these winds and a constant presence of the sun. Sometimes we are surprised by approaching thunderstorms and showers, but fortunately we can see them coming from afar. So we ignore going to Lillesand in this case and sail on to a place where the weather looks less threatening, the bay near Kristiansand. After all, it has many anchorages to choose from. Once there, it turns out that those anchorages are too tight for our ship, or look too tight. So in our case, that requires some more searching for a suitable spot. In the process, we once again have to dodge some dark clouds. We eventually find a nice spot near one of Kristiansand's more expensive suburbs. Not a punishment, and, as it turns out, also an historic spot with the shipping dock Bridalsholmen between the rocks. The shipping dock is sponsored by the government, and the volunteers refurbish historic ships. And as it turns out, a small cafe has just opened at the foot of the dock. Highly recommended. The next day we tried to find a place in the harbour near Kristiansand, but that turned out to be a bridge too far. So we anchored just in front of the harbour, after filling our diesel tanks with relatively cheap fuel for the last time. The anchorages is nice, but the waves have effect on the ship quite a bit, but the same goes for the ships in the harbour. A stone's throw away from that anchorage is a quiet forest to let Reef run loose. It is surrounded by coastal batteries with a history dating back to the beginning of the last century. Of course, there's also shopping to be done, so we visit the town Kristiansand itself by dinghy. As we celebrate Robin's birthday at sea, his colleagues surprise him with cold champagne at one of the town's bars. A visit to the historic church is not to be missed either, of course. Meanwhile, we plan the trip back south, starting with Denmark's Esbjerg. Ingredients for the trip should be enough wind, but not too much, smooth sailing because of the still frightened Reef, And, of course, enough speed to be able to make a journey in relatively quick time as well. To plan such a trip, there are several tools. We like to work with Predict Wind. This gives an indication of the route and the best departure time based on the type of ship and various weather and current models. We have already seen from other weather apps that around 2300 hours the wind turns west, which is favorable for sailing south at half wind. So we enter this in as the preferred time of departure. The animation shows that our planned time of departure is indeed favorable, just ahead of the wind that is too strong, but at the risk that at the end of the trip the engine will have to be turned on. If we left a day later, we would have much more wind, as the second boat in the animation shows. In the end, of course, it is only a model, and real time is always different, as is the case this time. So it is good that we give Reef a run before we lift the anchor at 2200 hours on July 26th. It already turns out that the wind is stronger than predicted and also more southwest than predicted. So the first stretch with the sails up is already a bumpy ride. Unfortunately, it's too dark to record this, but the predicted 16 to 18 knots of wind turned out to be around 24 to 26. And with full sails up, reaching winds, a reef in the Genoa, that guarantees top speeds. And also havoc in the boat. By the next morning, the wind has died down and we are at the predicted 12 to 16 knots of wind. As a result, we can sail the first 24 hours with full sails on. Although it is heart of summer, it can be quite cold at night. That means 3 layers of clothes beside the foul weather gear, including winter coat to keep warm. Robin is celebrating his birthday at sea today, so he first treats the fish in the night before starting the day with the time-honored biscuits, which always do well in messy seas. When we have phone reception again, the congratulatory apps pour in, and the children call to explain their birthday gift with a true PowerPoint presentation. There is room for a more elaborate meal once the sea has calmed down a bit. Otherwise, the trip was pretty uneventful, except for the sail-by the good times coming to say hello, and some fishermen and container ships getting out of the way in time. The second night is a lot quieter, and from about 3 o'clock we decide to put the engine on so we can motor sail for a few more hours. What we are especially happy about is that Reef seems to be getting more and more used to sailing this trip. Of course, it also helps when you serve his favorite meal from time to time. Finally, after 34 hours and 180 miles, we reach Esbjerg harbor. There, despite of the early hour on Sunday morning, we are warmly welcomed by Kenneth, the harbour master, who gives us a place at the longitudinal jetty. There we make up the damage, well, as far as the mess in the ship is concerned. It looks worse than on the pictures though. But another job for when we have slept in, and another chore to add to our list. But first, the well-deserved mooring beer. After all, there's a 5 in the clock at 9:15 a.m. Sunday morning. We will stay here for the next few days until the wind is favorable for the second part of our journey back to the Netherlands.